Even at the time of '84, the president of India was a Sikh. Person who led the attack on Darbar Sahib was Barad. KP as a Gill was a Sikh.
Yeah.
The inspector they show in Punjab '95 was also a Sikh, right?
All the faces were Sikh
Right.
there. Right now, everybody is talking about a justice for Jaswant Singh Khalra, but the talk should be about the 25,000 people or the genocide that Sikhs had.
People call these people who were missing or killed that they were terrorists, right? So police deemed them as terrorists,
Yeah.
right?
So it was not like
No.
one person just going out of the house to fight a state or something. They said the police took them.
Yeah.
They killed them because they believed it was a terrorist.
Yeah. That police was given free rein. Do what you can, right? Kill, abduct, rape, whatever you want to do. The system will protect you.
He died or he did his shahidi for those 25,000 people.
Why aren't Sikhs in Punjab, fighting for their cause is what they believe in? Why are they? Somebody in America is talking about Punjab.
He flew all the way to Canada to prove in the bigger courts or in the Western countries who were more of democracy at that time, hey, look, we are going through a genocide and we need your help.
Reason why people don't go back and fight for the causes there because they will go missing.
Point, Khalra ji knew that he had to go to Canada in order for their justice to be served.
The best way to change a policy is to have the pen in your hand to write it.
Because they were the part of that 25,000 people who were disappeared.
These issues are bigger than just Indaraj or Tanpreet or Diljit or Khalra ji.
Khalra ji life taught us that there is no such thing as a democracy in India. There is no such thing as a justice in India. ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਜਕਾਰੇ ਕਿ ਜਾਵੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਾਵੇ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. So here's what we're going to start with today. First, I want you to give your introduction a little bit because all my friends or the people that are watching us, they told me that I never let my guests introduce themselves. So let's start with your introduction.
No. Well, I'll try to stay very humble.
There you go.
Alrighty. My name is Jaswant Singh. I'm the founder of the Singh Law Office. I have two offices, one in Bakersfield, one in Fresno. We practice a lot of civil litigation, family law, and immigration law as well. I also do appeals before the Ninth Circuit, Board of Immigration Appeals, and California appeals courts as well. I've been practicing law for about 7 years now, and I've known Tanpreet Singh for 7 years as well. So my whole law practice, I've known him. And then we do discuss a lot off camera as well. And then every now and then we come on camera to kind of talk about our thoughts, so we can share with you guys. And today's one of those days. We're here, and then we're going to talk about some very interesting project that just happened, and we're going to share our thoughts, and then hopefully you guys will enjoy. And then we'll wait for you to share your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah. So before we start everything, what's the number to reach you guys at? Because I have a lot of people that come to me and be like, can you set up a meeting with us or something like that? So how they can reach you?
So you can always call our office, our main office in Bakersfield, which handles our appointments throughout California. Is area code 661-599-8884. Once again, it's 661-599-8884. And another way to reach us is to go to our website, which is thesinghlawoffice.com, and then hit the contact us button and then fill out the form. It'll come to my email directly.
Okay, perfect. So now we can, as you mentioned, that the topic we're going to talk about is pretty controversial right now. As everybody know, Diljit came up with the new movie. It's called Satluj. It was called Punjab 95. It got released and then it got banned in like few hours, like 36 some hours. So a reason you probably wonder, like, Nihang Singh is all English today, what's going on? The reason we are recording this in English today, because I want more of the Western guys or the people that are born, or my younger generation that are born here, they could understand us, what's the situation with this movie, because they will just blindly believe what's in the movie and just go from there.
Yeah.
We just want to go over how the movie is made and what was the reason behind of Khalra ji's life. Not shown in the movie. The the suffer or the stuff that he did in his life, it is something that we can never match right now.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who kept everything on record in the books so our generation could know what was going on.
Yeah.
If I want to give it a simple word, the Sikh genocide that happened. He had that on record, the reason he was killed. So to begin with, I want to ask you, is this movie or creating a movie like this, is it really helpful for us?
I think it's really helpful. And again, this is not a comment on whether or not the movie accurately reflects the by Khalra's life, or whether there are some dialogues or scenes that may or may not be state sponsored. That's not a comment about that. Why do I say it's helpful? Because it tells a story from at least it tries to tell a story from the Sikh perspective, right? There have been people in the past that have said, probably wrote about it too, that they're missing people everywhere in Punjab, right?
Exactly.
Especially during that era, it was pretty common knowledge, but no one did anything. And I don't think people outside of Punjab believed us, right? There's always a question like, why do Sikhs want like Khalistan, or
Why do only Punjab wants a
this,
Khalistan, other Sikhs don't?
right? So the reason is because what we went through, what our community went through, right?
The genocide we went
Right,
through.
exactly. And then, so I think that's important. At least it's starting the dialogue, right? Whether the dialogue, is half truth, baked truth, false narrative, but it's starting a conversation.
So you meant like it gave a spark
Yeah.
to what had happened, so our next generation could learn or at
Yeah.
least think about it.
It gave a credibility to a claim that our people made for the longest time, but no one believed us. right?
Exactly.
And then because no one believed us, our own people, stopped telling the story.
Yeah.
And that's why Khalra has been gone for like 31 plus years. But now in 2026, it's all about him because of one movie, right? So it's a powerful media. Whether or not the movie is accurate or not, that's a whole separate conversation. But I think just to begin with, it's a good starting point.
And pretty much it kind of showed us that we're the freedom of speech standing in India for Sikhs right now.
And that was my second reason is, free speech is a big issue for me. I'm one of those people that believes in an absolute, speech. There, in my mind, there are very few exceptions where government can come in and tell you, for example, if I want to post or make a podcast or go to a meeting or go to the White House and just scream at Donald Trump, or cuss him out, nothing should happen to me as a citizen.
Makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
But when I was in the Air Force, if I want to leak documents, now something should happen to me because I'm giving out state secrets, right?
Exactly.
So even though in both cases it's speech that I'm exercising, but one, on one end when I go to, when I cuss him out, Donald Trump, it's just I'm exercising my right, to
That's your individual
free speech,
right.
right? Yeah. But when I'm leaking state secrets, now we're in a whole different category, right? So in my mind, the exception to free speech are very few, very narrow, and this is why I don't believe in banning things and not releasing things or delaying things, for release or then taking them down because it silences people's voice, right? If the state believes or whoever's behind this ban, if they truly believe that this movie is bad for the country or it it's a false narrative or it's whatever their reasons are, their option is that they can produce their own thing and counter that speech.
Makes sense. So you're saying that if people or the Indian or whoever's thinking that this movie is banned for blah 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 reasons, they should put their point of view through the media, be like, hey, you know what? They think this is the truth, but we think this is the truth.
They can put that through media. They can make their own movies. They made Catalog Files. They made other movies, right?
Yeah.
So again, these two reasons, because it showed, at least in India, that India has a longer constitution than America does, and probably supposedly has a lot more protections than America does. But the basic, freedom, to free speech, which is like, which is a cornerstone of any free society, it also showed the world that we're not really serious about democracy.
Makes sense. Because I want to point that out because there are some movies that were like, like Kashmir files or Kerala files, where people went through something like killing each other and stuff like that. That was released, but the biggest genocide, even in the movie, the actor said it, that was the biggest genocide they had ever saw in the history. And so if they could release the movies that were like only some thousands killed, like I have mad respect for them as well. Nothing that I'm against them. But if that can be released, why the biggest genocide can be released? How do you think that?
And that's exactly my point, right? So because those movies, because I do go and read comments on Instagram, a lot of those movies, the comments are basically saying like those movies are, they're like a vehicle for propaganda for the government, which is fine. If government wants to, release movies which makes them a hero, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But then government should also have thick skin to let other people criticize them, right? And another thing is, there's a very famous movie nowadays. I still haven't watched it. With the Ranveer or something. Dhurandhar, right? So those movies, from what I heard, they basically portray India as this like superpower thing. It's true or not doesn't matter, but they do have the right to feel that way.
I'll be honest with you. If you really watch that movie, when I watched that movie, literally when it got done, I was like, if Ranveer Singh would have done everything of that, what he did for India, if he would have done that for just Punjab, because that's his state. State is first, then it's the country. If he would have done that just for Punjab, he would have been called Khalistan.
I don't know what he did.
Like what he did for everything.
Watch the movie.
Everything what he went through for their rights and fighting for country and all that stuff. If he would have done that just for Punjab, he would have been called Khalistan.
There you go.
So to begin with, like, especially like I said, this is more for the people that are born in West and they don't know what exactly happened, like why there were so many killings, because they're born and raised here. They were never talked about this. Why did the state had to kill that many people? Like, it's a big number, as Khalra ji said in his thing, that he's still searching, but the numbers are approximately 25,000. And it could be more because some were drained through the lines, like canals and rivers, and some were burnt alive. I even heard one that they put ropes to their legs and tied it to the cars and drove off to the different direction. That could have been burned at the cemetery because they can take half a part body on there. So that could have been thrown in the river or burned somewhere, like without even
somebody's fields. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And there were some people that were killed and given back to the family. So the numbers are way high than even 25,000. So if we just like go from the movie, because we're talking about that, so 25,000 is a big number. Why did state have to kill that many people?
Like you said, just to begin with, that the search that Pai Khalra was doing, it was incomplete, right? And that's why I think state wanted to stop him even more, because he was continue to cover, discover more and more numbers. Right? The higher the number, the more the country looks bad, the state looks bad. To understand the psychology behind the state as to why they wanted to assassinate and commit this genocide against young Punjabi people, or even Punjabi people in general, Sikhs, you have to kind of go back to 1984, right? So in 84, we know that they attacked Darbar Sahib. And after that, what happened was, Indian state realized something, because before 84, the target was on people who were Sardar in Bana.
Makes
right?
sense.
People like you.
Amritari people,
right?
Yeah.
Or even not Amritari, but if you were, turban, dadi and everything, you were perceived as to be,
like I heard, like if they would see like the people with like orange or blue, the star, the police will just grab you and then you won't be ever returned back.
So what happened was that after 1984, a lot of people who looked like me, they sprung to action, right? They changed their lifestyles. They started paying attention to the religion. They started helping out. Sukha Jinda's big example.
Exactly.
Right? They become,
or party
Sikhs,
animal,
right? They look just like me.
Yeah.
Right? So state understood something, that, whether somebody wears a turban or doesn't wear a turban, if they're sick, if something happens, or at any time, during their lifetime, at any time, they can go back to becoming sick.
Exactly.
Their ideology can change. Right? So the policy shifted. There's a really famous song from Ranjit Bawa where he talks about, the English translation would be, that inspector would pick and choose people from the village, people who were educated. They were the primary targets.
Okay.
The reason behind that is, because it just happened in India, Punjab. And then there's a movement to kind of fight against the government. And then the first elimination was people who were educated and people who had shastras.
Yeah.
Right? Because people with weapons, they were the shield. People with education and they were the policy. They were going to change
the
policies
brains.
and do, right?
Yeah.
So these two people were targeted. These two groups.
Makes sense.
And most of those people are young people. So it's no accident that KPS Gill or whoever else was present at the time, because it takes more than one person.
Makes sense.
KPS Gill became the poster child, but it took entire police force, right? Perhaps even people outside of the state and other people to come to the state to kind of carry out this operation.
Yeah, because even in the movie, because we're taking some facts from the movie, not just because they try to show the max they could. I mean, I don't mind how the movie come out to be how people feels, but they did show that in the movie that Beyant Singh, the so-called the leader,
minister,
the minister of that time, he was involved and was really worried when the Khalra name came up.
Yeah.
Like he was blown off, by one of the Sikh soldier.
Yeah.
So do you think that was just few police officers or was the state thing?
So, let me start with American history and then we'll kind of tie that into your question.
Okay.
So, African Americans, for the longest time, they talked about this, systemic oppression. Systemic oppression doesn't work like, it's not a direct, open racism. But policies are embedded in the system, right? Clerk can, come up with ways to refuse your right to vote, right? That's systemic oppression. The jury of your peers will be all white jury. You get a full and fair trial, but the jury is against you, right? No matter what the evidence is.
Yeah.
So this is what we call systemic oppression. Now, no one can say like, oh, the judge is biased or the jury is biased because, one jury can be biased, two can be biased. Can be the case that entire juries are biased, the whole body of juries, everywhere in America are biased.
Yeah.
But they built the system around it. This is where the rules of evidence came in. This is where, hearsay came in. Let's just get this evidence out. The law language is so vague that you can read it into any meaningful way you want to.
Makes sense.
Right? So once you kick the evidence out, the jury is like, well, our hands are tied. We can't consider this evidence, right? So this is what I mean by systemic, oppression. So now going back to the Punjab situation, if there were a few, there's a word here in America, because about a few years ago there was a huge movement about defunding the police because of what happened to another African American they killed in broad daylight. So if there were a few bad apples, then the big question is what were the police itself and the state itself were doing. I'm sure at the time and even today they have Inspector General's office.
Exactly.
I'm sure at the time there was a system of complaints. I'm sure at the time people petitioned in court, right?
Yeah.
That my neighbor is missing or this police officer is doing this, right?
Exactly.
So if there were 8, 10, 100, 200 bad police officers, they should be easy to handle.
And second is, they were being funded by the state government.
That's what I'm saying. So they were easy to be, so they could have been easily handled, right? Suspend them, move them, do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it happened all over Punjab. So that tells me that even if there was one bad police officer at each police station in each district, they could not have killed 25 or more than 25,000 people. Psychologically, it's impossible.
Exactly.
I'm not a doctor.
Exactly.
But it takes a human toll.
Right? Like one of my uncles says, it's a common sense.
Right. So that's a false narrative. I think this is where they're trying to blame shift the blame from the government to just few bad people, and we'll talk about it more at the end the court did justice or whatever, right? And another thing is a lot of, I'm sure, and we can verify it too. I think there were active petitions at the time. There were habeas corpus filed in courts. So it can't be that it was just 8 or 10 or 200, 300 bad police officers. What were the courts doing?
Exactly.
Right. So if a habeas corpus is filed, the whole point of habeas is basically telling the judge, the court, like, hey, your government is holding somebody against their will. It's illegal, right? Release them.
Exactly.
The whole point of habeas corpus is bring me the corpse, bring me the body.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's the literal translation.
Exactly.
So then courts didn't do anything. So it's not just 8 or 10 or 200, 300 bad police officers. There was an entire system that was built to ensure that this would happen.
So you meant to, from talking about from your first question, so you're saying, so they were targeted, first they were targeted because they were, for an example, for 84, they were targeted because they were asking for their rights. Then they were targeted because they would not stop, especially the Amritari or the Sikh people. And then they figured out that once the Amritari were done, even the Kone Mone or like the people with no hairs, they would go back to their Sikhi and stand against the injustice. And when they were dealing with that, they figured out like these people don't stop coming. So they started killing everyone they could find.
So the system was built on this, right? Now, suppose there were 10 bad police officers. I'll give you an example. I think the movie even kind of hints at that.
Yeah, that's what it did. It just labeled like there was only few officers. I was like, how can a few officer kill 25,000 people?
Right? So when somebody's file goes for a promotion, right? So I was in the Air Force here.
Yeah.
Once a year, I'd sit down with my supervisor. He or she would go over my entire whole year's progress, and then rate me on that system, and that's how I would be promoted.
Exactly.
I did the same thing to my people I was supervising.
Exactly.
Right? It's called EPR. So I'm sure at the time when these people were being promoted, and I think the movie talks about like somebody came in as like a Havaldar and then became inspector like in 10 months.
Yeah.
So whoever's promoting this person
Yeah.
must have seen something brilliant from that person.
Yeah, and that whole system is controlled by state.
Exactly my point. So that means that whoever's signing off on this promotion, then he has to send that file to governor or whoever, and then they need to approve it. So there was a immediate supervisor, district supervisor. I'm assuming that's how the promotion works. And then at the end, I'm sure it's DIG or something, and then the ministers or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a line of people who saw something brilliant from all these people. No one questioned.
Exactly.
Like in 10 months, this guy went from stripes to like having stars.
Stars. Yeah.
Right. In other cases, it takes lifetime to get to that star.
Exactly.
So no one questioned, and supposedly these people are educated people who are at the top of their government's, admin state. So no one questioned that. So that tells me that they knew what's going on.
They knew that they were just innocent people getting killed.
And the second thing is, and this is very shocking to me, is that when this 25,000 people or even more, I'm sure the number is way more than this, right? Whatever the number is, when these people are missing, being killed, I'm sure there was police reports filed and people inquired, because Bhai Khalra wasn't the first one or the last one. There were people before him. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bhai Khalra was just more passionate about it, so he made it, into his life's work.
Yeah.
But there are people asking before, right? And various police stations throughout Punjab. And then, I don't know if the movie talks about it, but, there have been, written evidence in books and, otherwise that people call these people who were missing or killed that they were terrorists, right? So police deem them as terrorists.
Yeah.
Right. So
no. So what happened in movie and even in real life, police didn't claim them as a terrorist. So first, when Jaswant Khalra came up with all those names, be like, hey, these are the names that people are killed and they're innocent. So when he came up with all those numbers, especially the people that he found that were being burned or in a cemetery, that they had no family members that they could claim the body, and that number was close to 25,000. And then he went through every name, going to their houses, finding out, going every village to village, like, hey, is this the person that belongs to you? They're like, yeah. And they're like, what happened to him? They said it's been missing. And the cops came and took them.
Yeah.
So it was not like one person just going out of the house to fight a state or something. They said the police took them.
Yeah.
That's all the petitions were there. That's the whole reason he had to go to Canada to prove that, hey, and those were real people and they were signed off on that as well in the court of system. So when they were killing all these people, the state knew. So is that what you were saying?
So yeah, so my point was, the one justification, when you talk to even people today, is like, oh, those were terrorists, or or police knew was terrorists, right? So someone has to make the determination that person A or B is in fact is a terrorist. Okay, so that means that they either had proof, which led them to conclude that this person is a terrorist.
So you meant to say like they killed him because they believed it was a terrorist.
Yeah, but law doesn't allow police officers to kill people just because police thinks they're terrorists. That's why they're courts, because otherwise you can shoot any criminal in the world. Be like, well, we had evidence, he was a thief, we shot him, right? That's why you have courts.
That's the Indian democracy doesn't allow that.
I'm sure they do, but this is my point, right? My point is, though, if the claim is that these people who were killed or who were abducted by the police or what have you, if police had even an itty bitty tiny proof that this person was involved in some sort of criminal activity, the right process is to book that person and then have the court declare yes or no, and then punish him or her, right? So when police is, and this is why they're called extrajudicial killings, right? Because it's not sanctioned by the justice system.
Exactly.
So that tells me that the Indian state itself, the Punjab government itself, does not believe in its own judicial system. They thought, because we think he's a terrorist, we should kill him, because if we take him to court, the court might, tell this person, oh, you know what, I don't think this person's a terrorist.
Or you don't have enough evidence to prove that.
So either there was no proof that these people were terrorists, or there was proof, and then if there was proof, then Indian government does not believe in its judicial system, right? So again, this is what I mean. Like, this is a whole systemic. The way the system was built is to ensure at each level, basically, that police was given free rein, do what you can, right? Kill, abduct, rape, whatever you want to do, the system will protect you. When these people eventually would go down and have a case heard, in courts, nothing really happened to them, right? Even today, the people, who filed habeas corpus, I don't think any lawyer followed up with that, but I think maybe someone should do this project. What did the court do with those habeas petitions?
There's no justice for that.
Right? So my point is, though, everyone was involved, right? India doesn't trust the judicial system. Police doesn't trust its judges. And there was no evidence of anything.
And you know what's so funny? Like in that movie, the guy said when they were like investigating that cop, that they were labeled as the cop, the killing machine or whatever, killing innocent people. And the cop replies back with saying, you know what? It's the same Delhi that gave me an order to do all that, or gave me a right to do all that. It's the same Delhi that is sending you here. Just so talk to those people first before coming at me. And the officer, the CBI officer, replied back with saying, you know what? Doesn't matter if it was from the upper class or the lower class. You were the one in the middle, and you were going to be a bite for it. They just did everything and then blamed few officers to just kill the whole voice. Because my whole point is, right now everybody is talking about a justice for Jaswant Singh Khalra. But the talk should be about the 25,000 people or the genocide that Sikhs had. Because genocide is more important than Khalra ji's life. Maybe I'm wrong for some people, but if you look at from Khalra's viewpoint, he died or he did his shahidi for those 25,000 people. So he did his shahidi for those 25,000 people. It would be unfair for us to just talk about Khalra ji and not talk about those 25,000 people. So when you said like the judiciary system and all that, as we know and also shown in the movie, that once he had all this number added up, he did go to the courts over there to show them, hey, look, I have the whole record here. But he was being threatened. So he thought, I'm done with the Indian judiciary system. I'm going to try with the Western countries. So he went to Canada. He went there twice, I believe.
Twice.
Because my uncle told me, he's like,
at the very least,
one of my oldest, I call him my grandpa. He's in Punjab. He was like, when he made the second speech in Canada, already knew that he was going to be picked up soon.
Yeah.
So
He
he
knew it
flew all the way to Canada to prove in the bigger courts or in the Western countries who were more of democracy at that time, hey, look, we are going through a genocide and we need your help. But the person who was looking for help, he was also offered asylum, I believe.
Yeah.
It's shown in the movie as well.
In Canada,
In the Canada, but he chose to go back. He's like, I don't want the asylum. I want to go help out my people. And he rejected the security because he knew that even he would have accepted that it's the same people that are trying to kill him. So if they are giving him a security, it wouldn't make any better. So he was abducted. Why do you think he had to come to Canada? Like, that's my whole point. Like,
Right. So Pai Khalra was pleading his cause before the Western countries, right? Especially in Canada, because at the time Canada did take a lot of the refugees from after 1984, and Canada did offer him asylum, and we'll talk about it in a little bit too. So the whole point of pleading his cause before international community is, one, to give recognition to the fact that's what's happening in Punjab to the people, and two, to gain support for the cause and see how they can help kind of correct this. Because when for each country, what matters to them most is their reputation and their standing in the world.
makes sense.
Right? So when Western countries would start questioning India's reputation on this particular human right record, they will be forced to at least consider, if not give in to the demands, right? Which is, even today, that is the case, right?
Yeah.
And then as to the asylum, I think I don't know how do I feel about them. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the clips here and there. But I have read a book.
Yeah, you have read the book.
By Khalra's life, like 3 years ago, right? So and they kind of also have pictures of him being in Canada, and then there was a minister who offered him asylum and told him that he has reports that Indian government will kill you if you go back.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
But he went back,
it shows that in the movie as well. They literally said that if you go back, you're gonna be killed.
Yeah. So, or maybe so that it's great that Pai Khalra, he made that choice. That was his choice to make. That was not anybody else's choice to make for him. But also, I think there was a movie called Dunki, I think, by Shah Rukh Khan.
Donkey.
Yeah, whatever. I saw that movie. And what in that movie, what they tried to show was that people, especially Punjabi people, because that was the movie is based on, is they go to these Western countries and they just lie to the judge and they get their green card. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're building a narrative.
Yeah.
Right? The Punjabis and Sikhs, they go to America, they go to Canada, they go to England, all those countries.
Yeah.
They lie to just get their green cards, and then they miss India, but Indian government can issue them visas, so they go back or whatever, right? So I think in this movie, this scene may have been shown to because there's a talk that happens every time. Why aren't Sikhs in Punjab, fighting for their cause is what they believe in? Why are they? Somebody in America is talking about Punjab. If you're really that, you feel that pain.
Go back to
why
Punjab.
aren't you in Punjab, right? So I think this scene could also be used to discredit others, right? Oh, he was a Sacha Sikh. He chose Punjab over not being in Canada, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how people fight their fights. Pai Khalra's fight was different than all other people.
Exactly.
Other
So
people,
that's
right?
my whole point, because everybody
second
nowadays
thing-
tells us, hey, you know what? If you want to talk about your rights, or you want to talk about free of speech, like I said,
freedom of
or a
speech,
better democracy in India, why don't you go back? So why did Khalra had to come back to Canada?
Exactly, right? But then also the point here is, and then to answer these people, I think the movie kind of shows people the reason why people don't go back and fight for the causes there, because they will go missing,
Exactly.
right? It's not that Pai Khalra was killed by the state that all these things stopped. These things are still happening. I think recently there was reports of fake police encounters in Punjab,
Yeah.
right? So people are still going missing. People are still being killed by the Punjab police or other elements within India, right? So it's not like, Khalra, this thing was stopped, Pai Khalra was murdered, and then every court gave a judgment, and boom, we're done.
Yeah.
Those things are still happening, right? If I go to India, for example, and then I stir up something and people start following me, I will be gone too.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
State
you can
will
give a
never-
best example of the guy from England, the Juggy Jaw.
Yeah.
He's
Look at him.
been captured without
More
no
than
hearings and
almost
stuff.
10 years now.
Yeah.
Right? Almost 10 years. And that's why people feel safe and secure being in these countries, in these countries here,
Yeah.
and then they can do the work from here.
Exactly.
You don't have to be, you know, when a war is being fought, generals are back in the offices. They're
Yeah.
not, in the battlefield,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So, but you can't be like, oh, general, you should be, you should be there, or else we're not gonna fight, because someone has to be at the top to make a strategy for the war.
Makes sense.
Someone has to implement other things. Someone has to make sure logistically things are being done. Our troops are receiving their rations, their food, their uniform, their pay.
Yeah.
If everybody's on the battlefield, who's gonna make, So it takes a lot to wage a war. It takes even more to fight in a war, and not just on the battleground, but war starts in offices.
So you meant like at some point, Khalraji knew that he had to go to Canada in order for their justice to be served.
I think he was waiting to gather evidence, right? Because if he would have gone to Canada without any evidence,
Exactly.
no, I don't think people would have taken him seriously.
Yeah.
'Cause
Exactly.
Talk
Yeah.
is cheap.
Yeah.
Seriously, talk is cheap. But when he had evidence, and evidence which was, for whatever reason, was made by the government itself,
Yeah.
right? It's hard to deny that record.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So government can't be like, oh, you know what? Is this cemetery just made this list up because he copied those records, because he knew that those books will go missing,
Yeah.
right? People will tear up the pages,
He did.
Right? So
Yeah.
he knew, so that's why he made copies, to make sure that he had copies so he can show to the world. Even if the government later would come, oh yeah, we can find the record,
Yeah.
or they can create like a new one, right?
And like even with Canada government, they would have did their research before proving that this is the right what he's saying.
Every country does those reports, right?
Yeah.
Even in American Congress at the time in 1984, or I believe in 86, I don't have the year, but there was a senator who spoke about the Sikh genocide, and he urged U.S. to do something about it,
Yeah.
right? And that was the reason why, during that time, if any Sikh came from India, they were almost, asylum was granted.
Yeah. Exactly.
They knew,
Because they knew what
So-
happened.
So these countries, they always keep tabs on each other, right? Human rights violations, what's going on. So this is why for Pai Khalra, like, evidence is really important.
Makes
because
sense.
without it, he would not have been able to do much.
And he wouldn't be able to prove that this was genocide because now, correct me if I'm wrong, the America and Canada both have made a choice or said that what happened to Sikhs in 84 to 95 era, it was a genocide of Sikhs. It wasn't just a few people up against the state for their rights or, going violent, choosing violence or anything, but it was literally a genocide.
My whole life I grew up hearing like Hindu Sikh riots, right? In riots, both parties have some sort of weapons or something to kind of counter the attack against each other. Genocide is when you pick out people for a specific trait, right? In the riots, it's against the community, right? There could be Hindus, but everybody's together.
Yeah.
Right? They're fighting against...
They're just people fighting people.
Yeah.
It can be police fighting people.
Yeah, but genocide is when, whether it's private people, whether it's government, like they're being sanctioned or, like they're targeting a specific trait, whether it's gender, it's religion, it's, nationality, religion, you name it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a trait that's that's what they call genocide, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to Sikhs was a genocide in 1994. What happened afterwards, because people have this image in their mind that war or genocides are, like tanks are coming in and boom, they're just bombarding everything, shooting blindly and killing everybody.
Yeah.
Right? That's not what genocide is. Genocide is actually targeting people for whatever trait, and then making sure the elimination through war and policy. Right? The policy is still at war.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you why I say that. First of all, I don't know why they changed the name to Satluj when the name was Punjab Files. If they're going to release a movie on Z, whatever platform I was, right? But they could have released Punjab 95 as well. Why Satluj, right? I don't. There's no explanation given as to why the name was changed.
Yeah.
It's not like after changing a name. Because then let's change the name to Dalit Dosanjh and then release it again, right?
Exactly.
So I don't understand the history. This reasoning behind changing a name to begin with. That's suspect to me. So, and number two, And I heard this a lot, right? That, it was Congress. It was not BJP. Okay?
Exactly.
Right? And then even BJP, because they want to show that they're very friendly to Sikhs.
So pretty much how's Aam Aadmi Party doing right now? Oh, it wasn't even us. We weren't even there, and this is just a state thing.
So, but the thing is, the labels. We have this thing in law. We call, especially in employment law, the labels are not this positive. Meaning that just because I label it a contract, but it's as an employee, independent contract. But in its essence, it's an employee-employer contract. Label doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? What matters is the substance of the contract. That's how we determine if it's an independent contractor, if it's an employer-employer, right? So it doesn't matter if it's Congress or BJP. What matters is the ideology, right? It will help BJP if they stand by this movie, right? They're trying to get into Punjab.
Yeah.
Why would Punjab vote for them if they stand by, what, yeah. Because a movie is not about BJP. They were not in power. It's against Congress.
Yeah.
But they understand it's the ideology. Right? It's the ideology that matters. Why? They're not afraid of Pai Khalra. What they're afraid of is that other people will learn from him, be inspired by him,
Yeah.
and they may get on the same path. And not just finding people. There's going to be other, as long as time's going to exist, there will be causes to fight for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What the state wants is obedient people. What they don't want is even one person who says, you know what, left doesn't mean left. It's actually right. This is left.
Yeah.
This is right. Right? So when somebody stands up and try to educate people, initially state doesn't care because they have a whole power against them, like basically, to discredit him or do whatever.
Yeah.
But when they see like, okay, his ideology is, taking effect, they know that if this person is able to change even one mind, that's more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because not that one person will change another mind. Whether it happens today, tomorrow, doesn't matter. So that's why ideology is really important. So that's why BJP is against this movie too. Because they understand that in power, they are and they will commit atrocities. And people are going to challenge them.
Yeah.
And they don't want people, especially from Punjab, we're known for this.
Yeah.
ਜਿਵੇਂ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਆਕੜ ਬੰਨੀ ਦੀ ਹੈ.
Wow.
So they don't want people in Punjab, thinking like Pai Khalra.
Exactly.
Right.
So that was my whole point. So like you mentioned, so that was my whole point. Like you mentioned about that movie where people are coming from India left and right, they're choosing Western countries just to live here and all that stuff. But this movie kind of proves it. The reason people are coming from up there and not fighting for their rights back home, because they will eventually go missing. And this, like you said, the word policy, that policy is still happening.
It's still at play.
So the people that are coming now, the one that are here, already here, they cannot go back because they have asylum case going on over here. So this movie kind of proves it, why they are here.
Yeah.
What should be the next step for Sikhs to do, especially when they went through a genocide? Because I see people over here talking about Khalistan because they were going through the state policies. What do you think is the next step for Sikhs?
So, the reason history matters is because we learn from our mistakes, right? And whether it's a mistake from one community, government, or collective mistakes, that's the whole point of history, that what people did in the past, we should not be able to do it again, and we should have guardrails, right? We should perfect our democracy, our system of governance, to make sure that what happened in 84 doesn't happen in 2026.
Exactly.
Or after, right? So that's step number one.
Yeah.
What I think we need to do as a community is we really need to focus on two main objectives, which kind of relates back to Sikhi. I know I'm not the person to talk about Sikhi, but the whole concept of Miri Imperi was basically scholar and a warrior, right?
Exactly.
Even if you want to do this two separate things, some people should be the scholars, some, the warriors, that's fine too.
Exactly.
But we need, as a community, to come together on key facts as to what happened.
So you meant to say that we need to establish our own system to protect our rights.
Yes. And this is not just an issue of Khalistan or different states or whatever. I don't think, no one ever said that India is not our country, right? But if your home burns down, you have to go look for a new home.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Exactly.
If Indian government wants to burn down Punjab, they will say we need something new,
Yeah.
right? Government stops subjecting Sikhs to second-class status, and I don't think they will find any more loyal people than Sikhs in India.
Exactly.
So, and another thing we need to do is we need to kind of invest in our people, right? We need to support our people, to make sure that we have next generation ready, both on policy standpoints, because policy matters.
But
we have been living in a reactive politics. As I'm 35, and all I've seen and heard, since '84 till now, even before 1947, is that we have engaged in a reactive conflict. We react to things.
Makes sense.
We're not proactive.
Makes sense.
And people who do make it to the top of our governments, whether it's here in Canada and India, they start to talk like the system, right? Even at the time of '84, the president of India was a Sikh. Person who led the attack on Darbar Sahib was Barad. KP as a Gill was a Sikh.
Yeah.
The inspector they show in Punjab 95 is also a Sikh, right?
All the faces were Sikhs.
Right?
They had turbans.
So my point is that, people who make it to that level, the reason they make it there is because they think and act like what the system is. You cannot expect justice from those people.
Makes sense.
Right? What we need to do is we need to create new generation of officers, police officers, judges, engineers, whatever scholars, whoever, doctors, lawyers, that we need to instill in them that this is a profession, but you have an ethical obligation to your community, right? If you make it to the top of your game, don't forget about your community.
Exactly.
Right? And it's not to favor...
For serving justice.
Yeah, right?
Not just community, but serving justice.
Suppose I become a judge, right? I'm not going to favor somebody, who's a Sikh before me, like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. My job is to make sure that I treat a Sikh, a Hindu, a Muslim, and a Christian the same.
Exactly.
When you're in my court, my job as a judge is not to judge you based on your traits, but based on the facts before me, the evidence before me. And I think that's what we need to kind of instill in people as police officers,
So you mean to say like Sikhs needs to generate more of these people
Yeah.
that could get into the offices
Yeah.
and have better service for the people?
The best way to change a policy is to have the pen in your hand to write it.
That's a big word, because Khalra also chose a pen instead of a weapon.
Right.
And he's still being talked about today, and the world of human rights and genocide is being popped up because he chose pen.
Because that's what I mean by reactive versus proactive. Proactively, we can change policy by being the policymakers. And if you want to just play the reactive game for the next 50 years, somebody named whoever Falana Singh would be sitting here or there somewhere talking about the same issues, and we'll be long gone by then, right?
Yeah.
So these issues are bigger than just Indaraj or Tanpreet or Diljit or Khalra ji. These are human rights issues.
Yeah.
We all have short lives.
Yeah.
70, 80, 90, most 100, right?
Yeah.
We're all going to be gone.
Yeah.
We can all live in a million life. Why do people like Khalra ji? He could have had an easy life.
Yeah.
He could have been like, yeah, I don't care.
He was a good money-making guy. Like it wasn't like he didn't have choice.
Exactly, right?
He had choice, yeah.
And then, having a scooter at the time was a big deal. He had a scooter,
Yeah.
right? So my point is like, he could have had an easy life.
Yeah.
But there's something in humans that, that kind of inspires you to, like, no, this is bigger than me. And that's exactly what I mean, like why we need better police officers. And not just in Punjab, everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And I think one of the podcasts last time we talked about is why Indian government or any government in the world will be against, a Sikh system of governance is because our foundation is based on equality.
Equality, exactly.
We do not recognize caste.
Exactly.
We do not recognize categories.
Exactly.
Everyone's equal. Female, males, whatever you are, Hindu,
Everyone
Muslim,
has equal
doesn't matter,
rights.
right? So when you have a system based on equality, then it doesn't matter if you are, a rickshaw driver, you have the same authority in a court of law as a judge.
Exactly.
And that's the system that governments can't have, because then they can't control people.
Makes sense.
To control people, you need to give incentives. We'll make you a judge, but these are the conditions.
Makes sense.
We'll make you DIG of Punjab.
But you have to
These
do
are the
this.
conditions. You will be the next chief minister of Punjab.
But you have to do
These
this.
are the conditions. Once the incentive is removed, that a rickshaw driver has the same power as the Prime Minister of India, then you will see the change happen.
Exactly. Because they talk about something else in their policies when they're trying to be elected and do something really different when they're elected.
Yep.
And I personally been a case of a bribe because when I was back in Punjab with this new government, so-called revolution government, I'm not afraid to say that. People are like, oh, well, you shouldn't talk about it and all that. But I'm not afraid to say that. With this new revolution government in Punjab, so-called Aam Aadmi Party, is the same way the other parties were. It's just, what's the difference? Now people are like, oh, they're giving this all this stuff. They're just giving 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 or 3,000 more to you. And that's it. They don't have to pay you thousands in votes. They will just pay you thousands every month. So instead of taking lakh, 2 lakh at one time, they'll just give you 3,000, 4,000 monthly, giving you so-called benefits and then buy you out. So we're going to try to wrap this up by saying, as we mentioned, the first thing, this movie isn't just about Khalra ji. This movie is about those 25,000 people that he died for. So do not just take this as a word of Khalra ji's life or as entertainment or your time passing things. Think about those 25,000 people that were in his record, and he was still saying that there are more people that he can't find a record of. And especially to the kids that are in Western countries, especially that are saying that why Indians are here so much, why Punjabis are here so much, they have a better life, they have all the lands back home, why they are still here. This movie kind of gives it a stamp because even nowadays, you go back and fight for your rights because that's what Khalra ji did. He fought for his rights. And if the country isn't serving your right and you're fighting for your right and you get disappeared. And we went through a biggest genocide and now we are in a Western country asking for our freedom. So I feel like the new generation needs to know when the Sikhs are talking about their freedom or their own country, they aren't wrong because they were the part of that 25,000 people who were disappeared. I personally, as a true Sikh, as he mentioned, we put everybody equal. Even if it wasn't one of my family member who went missing, it was still somebody's family member. And as being a real Sikh, no matter you don't like the word Khalistan, you don't like the word Ajadi, you don't like the word all that stuff. So as being a true Sikh, like you mentioned, you have to give everybody an equal right. So if there are some of your people are talking about your independence or fighting or getting better rights, stop leg pulling them. Let them do their things because they could be a family of those 25,000 people that you don't feel a pain of. But as being a true Sikh, like he mentioned, you give an equality to everyone. So you should feel their pain. You should stand with them. You don't want to stand with them? Stop leg pulling them. Because they're fighting for a bigger purpose than you're thinking that is just about a few officers like is shown in the movie. Khalra ji life taught us that there is no such thing as a democracy in India. There's no such thing as a justice in India because it's shown in the movie. Even himself had to come to Canada to prove that India is genociding Sikhs. So at the end, I just want to let you know, this video isn't to play with your mind or to give you any idea. The whole purpose of recording this is giving the spark in your mind. Hey, these are the topics we need to start looking into. You should never trust a guy on a YouTube. 100%. Never trust a guy on a YouTube or on your phone. Do your own studies. Read your own books. The reason I said YouTube, it meant like the phone. Do not believe what's shown in the movie is real until you do your whole research. You could be against Khalra ji, I don't care. But read his books. You'll know that his whole life was to fight injustice as being a true Sikh. Those 25,000 peoples weren't terrorists. They were Sikhs. They were fighting for their rights, and they were the family of people who were fighting for their rights, and they get disappeared. My message to everyone is stop fighting each other. Sit down, figure out what we're going to do so in future our next 25,000 or 100,000 people don't get killed, and then we start talking about what we should do. Is there any message you would like to add?
Just, just very briefly, there's a share from Surjit Patar, कि जे वजी तेरे कालजे हजे शुरी नहीं ऐ ना समझ कि शहर दी हालत बुरी नहीं. In English, a loose translation would be just because, that, no one has shoved a knife through your chest doesn't mean that there's no crime in the city, right? So my whole point of saying that is, when you let things go, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Exactly.
Because eventually it's going to come to you. Maybe you will live a quiet life, but you can't control your kids. They may be the next revolutionary, right?
Exactly.
So if you're going to let somebody be taken today, tomorrow it could be your family.
Exactly. So last message from me is Singh Khalra himself.
मैं हनेरे ਨੂੰ ਚੈलेंज ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਐ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਵਾਲਿਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਤਵਾਦੀ ਆਖਿਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰਕਾ ਪ੍ਰਸਤ ਆਖਿਆ ਪਰ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਮਨ ਦੇ ਮਸੀਹ ਆਖਿਆ ਸੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਮਹੂਰੀਅਤ ਦੇ ਪੈਗੰਬਰ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਸਲੀਅਤ ਜਾਣੋ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਆਖਰ ਅੱਤਵਾਦੀ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸੱਤਵਾਦੀ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ।